It's Wolf, and it's a Club Penguin video. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make more in-depth mods for Waddle Forever. And before I start, I just want to note that even I don't really know what I'm fully doing here. This is even still going to be on the basic end of things, but it'll serve as a good starting point if you want to make more complicated mods for Club Penguin. So previously when I talked about mods, I talked about using SWF files that already existed and pretty much just using those to modify the game. But in this video, we're actually going to be modifying a SWF file to make a custom room. Now it's going to be a really simple custom room. I'm only going to edit one thing, but like I said, it should serve as a good starting point for if you want to get into more in-depth modding for Club Penguin. So what I'm actually going to do in this video is I'm going to take the small sign inside of the coffee shop in Club Penguin and I'm going to put a can of Pib Extra soda onto it. That's very specific, I know, but I like Pib, and I've been having trouble finding it lately, so I figured this would be a fun thing to do. Originally, I was going to do Mountain Dew, but I decided on Pib. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab the coffee shop out of the actual Waddle Forever files, and I'm going to make a copy of it, so that way we're not messing up anything with the original version in the game and don't mess up our actual Waddle Forever install or anything. So that's going to be located in Media, Static, Play, V2, Content, Global, Rooms, and the name for the coffee shop is Coffee. So now we have a copy of the coffee shop, and this is going to be the one that we're actually editing rather than the one that's in the actual game. So there's a couple of different tools that you can use to edit SWF files and Flash files in general. And the main one is going to be Adobe Flash, but that can be kind of hard to use because even old versions of it are expensive, and like newer versions, I don't know how well they support Flash stuff because it's Adobe Animate now or something. So that's one option. Another option that I've been messing around with is FFDec, which is the free Flash decompiler, and it does more than just decompile. You can actually edit Flash files with it and stuff. It's also called JPEXS sometimes. I will leave a link in the description to it. And this is something that I've heard mentioned around the Club Penguin community as kind of a good alternative to actual Flash. And this was what was suggested to me by somebody a while ago. It might have been Charlotte from CPSC who suggested this to me as an alternative to actual Flash. So this has already got some stuff that I was messing around with earlier opened. But what I'm going to go ahead and do is open this coffee.swf. And if you install FFDec, like if you hit certain options, you can actually get a thing in your menu here that says open with FFDec, so that kind of can save you a step. So anyway, now we have the actual coffee shop SWF file open here, and you can kind of even see like the underlying stuff of how it works a little bit, like these green spots that would let you go outside, that would let you go upstairs. And it's interesting to note just the way that Club Penguin is set up with Flash, because like it's an animation software first, so like there's a lot to do with frames and stuff. So you'll notice that this has like Salida, Cafe, Croissant, and stuff. So it's like all of the languages are actually in this one SWF file, even though it's the English version of the game. I think it gets kind of complicated, to be honest, but for what we're going to do today, it's pretty simple. So I'm going to close out of that SWF because I don't need that. That one's one from earlier. So what we're going to do is actually go into shapes. And as you can see, it's even like scrolling through everything here. Like it was doing that for a second there. It's kind of like going through the different frames and showing the different words and stuff. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this sign right here, and I'm going to put a Pib onto it. So if you're editing like an object within a SWF file, the best way that I found to do that is to actually grab it out of shapes rather than sprites. I tried to do this with sprites earlier and it seemed to break something, but then when I did it with shapes, it was fine. So this goes and it shows you all of the different objects within the coffee shop, and it kind of makes you realize just how complicated Club Penguin actually can be. But anyway, we are going to need define shape for 128. So that's the one that we are going to want to edit. So now we have this pulled up. So this is where it gets still like even more complex a little bit, because we're actually going to be saving this as an image and then editing that image and then replacing this image within the actual SWF file through FFDec. So first step here is going to be, we're going to go ahead and hit this camera button, which saves it to your clipboard. Now I'm going to go ahead and open it up in an image editor. I'm using Pinta because that's what I use on my Mac Studio, so I'm kind of used to it. It's very similar to Paint.net. I used to use Paint.net a lot when I was mostly using Windows computers, but Paint.net isn't available on Mac, so I've kind of moved over to Pinta. Pinta can not have all the features you might want for it sometimes, though. But really, the image editor you're using doesn't really matter that much. So I'm going to go ahead and Control V, which is the paste shortcut, and we're going to go ahead and expand canvas size, even though we're actually going to shrink this down in a second here. So we're going to go back into FFDec, because this is a really important part, is to get the dimensions of this actual image. So down here in bounds, right here is what we're going to want to look at. And I'm not totally sure if I'm doing this totally correctly, but this is what worked earlier when I was testing this out. So 65.7 by 72.50 is the dimensions of this. Now, Pinta, unfortunately, you can't actually do like half dimensions, so it's not going to be perfectly sized, but in other image editors it probably might work a little bit better. So that was 65.7. Now we can't do 65.7, so I'm just going to do 66, because you guys can probably hear me pressing there. Can't use the period. So we're going to do 66 because that's closer. And then for the other dimension, 72.5, I'm just going to go ahead and do 72. So now it has been shrunk down. Another thing too is we're going to want to remove the background. So in Pinta we can just use the magic eraser tool. Actually, let me go back 1 second and do that here. Whoops. There we go. And now we can shrink this down. Give me 1 second here. So there we go. Now this is shrunk down. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a pib bottle on top of it. So I'm going to actually open up a new window here just to paste the pib bottle into. I've already got the pib website pulled up. If you haven't had a pib, by the way, very good. I know this video is kind of turning into an advertisement for pib, but I really like it. It's like Dr. Pepper, but it tastes a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and do again what I did earlier. I'm going to go ahead and remove the background as much as I can here. Keep hitting the wrong delete button. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and erase around the can a little bit closer. So give me 1 second here. Okay, so that's good enough for our purposes here. So next I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shrink. I'm going to go ahead, put this to just crop to selection. And then I'm actually going to shrink this down to about 10%, because then it will fit better onto here. Actually, I'm going to shrink this down again by 50%. Now this part is variable depending on which actual image editing software you're using. This can change a lot, but this is just how I'm doing it with Pinta. So I'm going to go ahead, new layer, put this in, rotate this. And you can't really see it too well, but you know, it serves the purpose for this tutorial. Now I'm going to go ahead and save this, and I'm going to save it as a PNG. Doesn't necessarily matter which file format you save it as. I think it's compatible with a few different ones, but PNG works. So I'm going to go ahead and put this as pibsign. And actually, this is another weird thing with Pinta, that you actually have to add the .png for some of these. So there we go. Now we have our pibsign image, and I can get rid of this one that didn't save correctly. Pibsign. So now we have pibsign here, and what we're going to go ahead and do is go back into FFDec, and we're going to hit replace. And I've already got this into the folder where I had saved the pibsign image, but it would show up and you're going to want to find the folder where you had your modified object or whatever you're modifying, if you're modifying an object. And now I'm going to go ahead and replace this. And as you can see, it's a little bit differently sized because it's not like perfect, but it shows up and that's good. So now if we go back into the overall SWF file, you'll see that it's here. And we can even go ahead and hit run, and it will show the SWF with the pib on it. And again, it's not perfect because the image editing and stuff didn't turn out like exactly as I wanted it to, but it's good enough to show you guys how this all works. So now I'm going to go ahead and save this. And now it should be saved. So we can exit out of all of this stuff. And if we go ahead and open just this coffee shop SWF, you'll see that there is Pib. So now we are going to want to make an actual Waddle Forever mod, which I've already done a tutorial on this before. So I might just skip this part or kind of speed forward through it, but you're going to want to just do the whole thing with recreating the file structure and stuff up to the actual room. So I'm going to go ahead and call this Pib Coffee Shop. And I'm going to use the one that I actually used in the making simple mods video just to kind of grasp, like, actually I could probably just copy this whole, well, I'll type it out so that way you guys can see, but I'm going to use this as how I'm going to remember the file structure. So give me 1 second here. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab this coffee shop and put it into the rooms folder, and so this will replace the coffee shop that's in the game normally with our pibified coffee shop. I'm going to go ahead and make a readme as well. Or a mod info, not a readme. I got to remember the structure of these also. Name, author, version, and description. So the name, I'm just going to do Pib Coffee Shop. The author is me. Version is 1.0. And description places the sign in the coffee shop with a sign for Pib. There we go. That is our mod all created and bundled up to use in the game. So now we're going to launch Waddle Forever and select the mod. Waddle Forever is ready. Now go into the mods menu and Pib Coffee Shop. Now I'm going to go ahead and log in. And look at that. Now our coffee shop has Pib Extra on the coffee sign. So hopefully this kind of demonstrated the basics of using FFDec and how to make more complicated mods for Club Penguin. This music is like digging into my brain. Hopefully that helps you guys out if you want to make more complicated mods. This is the kind of thing that people would use to make like custom rooms for CPPSs and stuff like that. It's easiest to start from an existing room if you want to make a custom room, but you probably could make a fully custom room if you really wanted to. But yeah, that's how it's done. That's the basics of it. So before I end the video, I just want to note that this is the last tutorial idea that I had in mind for Waddle Forever for now. I can't really think of anything else to cover that would be helpful, but if you guys have any questions about Waddle Forever stuff and anything that you'd like to see me try to investigate and make a tutorial on, make sure to leave a comment in this video or in any of the other Waddle Forever videos, and I can try to do that. But that being said, I do plan on maybe doing some tutorials on another Club Penguin utility thing possibly in the near future, so we'll see. So keep your eyes out. But otherwise, I also plan on doing like other gaming videos. I know I've been mostly focused on Club Penguin lately, but I am going to do other stuff as well, like usual. Thank you guys for watching this, and thank you guys for watching all the tutorial videos on Waddle Forever thus far. Hope this helps, and I'll see you in other stuff in the future, and bye-bye.